So we've got our Frontier opening bell for the first full Monday in the new month of August. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's the 7th day of the new month. Quickly getting through the markets, and you can see a lot of green shoots as we finished off on Friday. The Cairo stock market, which of course leads the rest of the continent because of its own market structure, came in Sunday with 1.4% to start the new week. That's a very good upside for the market in Cairo, with a couple of corporate and news coming through from there. The Nigerian market down by 0.1% on Friday, but that's despite some strong buying. Week on week, the Nigerian markets are finished actually positive, with a very strong rally we saw between Wednesday and Thursday for those two transaction days. So take it down. Let's dive very quickly into the economic and news headlines, with investors losing about $35 million in the bond sales within the Kenyan market in the second quarter, April to June. And the CIC unit trust scheme shared about 4.2 billion shillings in rare portfolio outflow from that unit trust, and that's reported in the news in East Africa, Kenya today. Our Kenya vehicle dealers says export sales in the East African community was up roughly 40% in the first 6 months of this year, January to June, that was. And the IMF has told Prime Minister Abiy's administration in Ethiopia, or in Addis Ababa, that the $2 billion funding expected from Washington will depend on the restructuring of the country's debt. That is the latest from the East African corridor. Quite a whole lot there to chew, by the way. But again, let's move on to West Africa, where the news that GlaxoSmithKline of United Kingdom will be pulling out of Nigeria. The news came late last week. Then the GlaxoSmithKline Nigeria, which is one of the iconic pharmaceutical company in Nigeria, reporting about 18% upside on its earnings for the second quarter. The share price of that, the GSK, moved up strongly on Friday as we went for the weekend. In the meantime, the headline for the week was the World Bank President Ajay Baga, who met Nigeria's new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, just before the weekend as part of Ajay Baga's three-nation tour of Africa, Zambia, Nigeria, and of course, Ghana. The whole conversation was around the recent policies or reforms that the administration in Nigeria is putting in place. Ajay Baga said Nigeria will get more support from the World Bank, not just in terms of cash, but in terms of technical and other support assets, where Japan has since returned to Washington. The market week for Nigeria was a dive of 120 Naira in terms of exchange rate parity between the I&E window of the central bank and the market straight. That brought Naira down to about 895, roughly 900 Naira per dollar on Friday. The first half trend earnings also got a whole lot of attention in the week we just put behind us. After the initial knee-jerk reaction to those losses reported by companies, investors started repricing those stocks a lot higher, from the consumer goods to industrial goods, as well as the banking sector. The cedi in Ghana is trading at about 11.65 on the street, and about 1100 to the dollar at the Bank of Ghana Interbank. That was as we went for the Friday's weekend. Then you've got the Central Bank for West African states. That's the BCEAO, says it's suspending operations in the Niger Republic due to risks that pose to its staff on the back of the latest military takeover of President Bazoum in Niger Republic. And that's the latest from West Africa. Let's get into the Southern Africa space. Quite a number of corporate earnings. Standard Bank is reporting strong earnings in the first half. We expect a lot of earnings this week moving forward from some of the big names on the South African market on the GSE, including the MTN Group, who will be reporting for the period for the first half of the year. The BRICS Agric meeting is holding from tomorrow, the 8th to the 12th, this Friday, to promote sustainable production of agriculture on the African continent. It's a part of the build-up to the BRICS summit, which South Africa is hosting in the next couple of days. And Evercrest Chief Executive, Evercrest Aggressive Fund, lost about 142 million rand back in 2007. Now the Chief Executive, Mark, is being asked to face the music over those losses to investors. And Zimbabwe is looking to post the biggest inflation decline in the Southern African region next year, 2024. That's part of the forecast for Zambia in its latest Southern Africa's economic half-year development update. That's from the AFDB group. And Anglo Gold Ashanti posting 54% decline in its first half, January to June profit level. That's the Southern Africa's headlines. Let's get on to North Africa. Some of the international oil majors, Italian ENI, Sonatrach, and others, says they're returning to production in Libya after a couple of years force majeure. In the meantime, Egypt is reporting that FX reserves up about $72 million in July. Egypt is facing a crunching FX liquidity period as the central bank raises interest rates by 1%. And the listed Electro Cable of Egypt has filed information with the Egyptian Stock Exchange regarding the board of directors as well as the management board as well. Morocco's unemployment coming in at about 12.4%, while the EFDB is estimating Tunisia's loss and damage to about $5 billion US. And good news on Friday as the African Export-Import Bank put its boot on the ground by opening a business office in Barbados, one of the islands in the Caribbean. The whole CARICOM deal, which was put in place last September by Afrexim Bank and Barbados, as well as other islands such as St. Kitts, Guyana, Grenadines, and others, had now come together with Afrexim Bank putting a bridge between the African continent and the Africans that are on the island of Barbados. That relationship in terms of trade facilitation, promoting airlines, shipping, maritime, cultural, as well as entertainment and other businesses is now being put in place. The event was a glamorous one. Of course, there were speeches made by a number of prime ministers within the CARICOM region, as well as big names such as Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and those who were there in attendance, including the group CEO of Access Corp of Nigeria. That's Nigeria's Pan-African commercial bank and providing other services across a number of countries in Africa. So quite a very big day, and we say congratulations to Afrexim Bank, the first of such business office set up outside the African continent in its 30 years of existence. And that's your Frontier opening bell. It's going to be a very busy week starting from tomorrow with Zenith Bank holding its annual non-export conference in Lagos, as well as the Nigerian Exchange Securities Lending in together with the SEC, as well as other markets institutions. So we've got a whole lot more down the rest of the week. Keep those in mind as you keep your eye on Frontier opening bell. Go on our website, Frontier Africa Reports, to learn more and watch more of our videos in energy, markets, and investments. I am Bosin Number for you. I'll see you pretty soon. Have a great week ahead, everyone.